What if I told you that you could access the same AI that powers million-dollar companies, that you could use it with any tool you want and pay a fraction of the price that others charge? That's where APIs come in. API stands for Application Programming Interface. They're basically just ways for different systems or applications to speak to each other. Rather than opening up another app or software, there's an endpoint where you can get an app you're already using to connect to it directly. This is good for both parties because it means your user don't have to open up another window, open a browser, log in, and enter the information manually. And at the same time, it's good for the application because they don't have to open everything up to you. They can limit your access to what you request, the parts you request and are authorized to access, and they can see how much you're using. Think of it like a restaurant. You're at your table, you don't just walk into the kitchen and start speaking with the chefs discussing which dishes you're going to order. You have a waiter. This is the API. So they have the information, they take your requested information, give it to the expert chefs, and return with your desired output, the food. APIs are available across a range of softwares and have been used for a long time. However, now it becomes particularly useful when these expert chefs are actually AI tools. Previously, you or your company would have to make your own AI food, which would have been out of reach for most companies, but now everyone can order. Here's the thing, restaurants just don't let random people send their waiters to the kitchen. So this is where API keys are needed. You need to prove that you're a paying customer. Think of API keys as your membership card or your reservation. It proves to the restaurant that you're allowed to order, what you're authorized to access, and lets them know that they can charge you to consume it. You will have noticed this with a lot of third-party softwares in the last year or two. Things like Canva, Airtable, Notion, all getting these new AI features, and there will be chatbots on websites that I'm sure you've seen. But all of them are using the APIs to the larger AI companies. The only difference is they know where to place the order. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get your own API keys and show you how to order for yourself. Now let's dive in. Right, so I'll start by showing you in make.com. If you don't use any automation software or tools, stick with me because this will apply to you as well. So first of all, I'll show you the two different ways that really you authorize things. So first of all is OAuth. So you'd probably be familiar with this if you sometimes use Google to sign into other things. Sometimes you go on YouTube, it says sign in with Google, or sometimes you go to sign into Instagram and you can use Facebook and things like that. Similar sort of concept, but say for example, if we look at make.com, so say for example, we try and go onto email. So we want to sign up to our login so we can connect our email software. And here you can set up an OAuth connection. So this will, if you click add, I've obviously done this before. If you haven't done it before, you click add, it will get you to put in your Microsoft logins, and then that'll access your Microsoft Outlook through that password. However, the AI applications or anything that's usage-based that needs to be paid for runs slightly differently. So that's what I'll show you here. If we go to OpenAI, for example, and what you'll find is if you go to create a connection with OpenAI, I've already got one here, but if you go to add, it's going to ask you for an API key. So here there will be a long string key that you'll have to put in, and that what will connect your OpenAI account to anything. So this could be make.com. Lots of third-party softwares are doing this now instantly. They let you use their AI features if you put your API key in and connect it and things like that. Because what you'll find is a lot of these companies, they'll charge you for AI credits or AI assistant credits, and it'll be really expensive. You'll get like 30 a month, and like I say, you'll use them in no time. Whereas this way, if you are using these companies, rather than them paying for the AI, you can do it and get the full features, or you can mainly obviously take this and use it yourself in your automations or building apps or anything like that. So I'll show you how to do it with a couple of the two most common ones, because all of the AI features that I've mentioned in things like Canva, Airtable, instantly any sort of online tool will be using one of either OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, or DeepSeek maybe sometimes. So today I'm going to show you how you can access that. We'll do OpenAI and we'll do Claude because they're the two that I use most frequently. So let's have a look. First thing to note is when you're going to OpenAI, it's not going to chatgpt.com, it's going to openai.com, and they've got a section here called API platform. So if you click on that and log in, you'll go to the here, click the dashboard, and then if I move myself out of the way, down the side here, you've got API keys. So if you click on that and create new secret key, so click on create, you can do whatever this is, test E2, create secret key. and this will give you that code. So if you copy that into wherever it needs to, so you put it into there, click save, that's then got access to your OpenAI account. So effectively you've got the power of AI. You can now connect it to anything and it will run off that. A few things to note though. So first of all is once you've connected that, never show anyone it. I'll delete that afterwards, because if they've got your API key, they can use it to charge your account. This isn't just for make.com or any automation software. As I said, there's lots of softwares now where they'll ask you to put that in so they can just charge your OpenAI account effectively. And when it comes down to charges as well, so it's very minimal. I think to begin with, if you haven't got an account, I think you have to upload $5. If we go to usage, so this month I've used, I think it was $1.30 when I checked earlier, $1.12. So I've set a usage limit of $120. I think that's really excessive. I don't think I've ever done more than $10. So it just gives you an idea. Your ChatGPT account is $20 minimum, whereas this, you'll be able to have direct access and you could be using like a fraction of the cost, and you can use it to power anything. So it's not just the ChatGPT interface. Here, it will show you, obviously you can see your usage, because where are we? If you want to see the full documentation and the API reference here, it shows you all of the more technical side of things. For anyone who's a developer out there, you probably have a better insight of it straight away, but this will be all the documentation for how you need to use that in terms of debugging. One thing to note is, if I go back to the dashboard, is when it comes down to the costs, is different models cost different amounts. So it's still really marginal. But the newer reasoning models, for example, will cost you more than some of the older models. But again, even using some of the newer models in quite high usage, it is still like fractions of a dollar when it all gets combined. But keep it secret, because you never know, if you're leaving this all day, all night using the higher ones and someone's got access to it, it's going to get charged to your account. So one thing I would do as well is put a spend cap, because these spend caps, what they do is, say for example you get to like 80% of your limit, they'll then email you to let you know you're near your limit, and it's just got some safeguarding features in there to prevent you from losing control of it, if that makes sense. One thing it also uses to power is, I didn't touch on, was the assistants. So the assistants I won't go into now, but it's going to actually be my next video. So it gives you the opportunity to use assistants in your automations, which is another cool feature, which I'll go on to in my next video. Something, here we are. So this is the billing page. So under billing on the OpenAI initial dashboard, initial homepage. So you can see $8 in there. If you load up 5, that's where you do it to start. Load that up and then you'll be able to get started. Another one I would use quite a lot is Claude. So if you go to the Anthropic console dashboard, this is where you'll be able to log in. You can manage your API keys, exactly the same sort of thing. It will create you a secret key and you just go and plug and play that in any way you need it as well. So again, the limits are similar. It's pretty much exactly the same thing, but you'll have access to all the Claude and Anthropic models with this API, whereas it'll be all the ChatGPT and OpenAI models with the other ones. So those of you who use these things will know they've got slightly different, better use cases one another. So it's useful to have both of them. It just means moving forward, anything that you want to use, you've now got the ability to plug and play. And say, for example, if we were looking at this automation, you can have your email come out and then ChatGPT, well, OpenAI does anything you need with it. And then you could have another one with, say, Claude, create a prompt. It's exactly the same thing, where you go and add the connection, API key, save, and then you've got access to that AI as well. So there's lots of possibilities. Any developers out there, just make sure you're not copying and pasting it in when you're developing things, because if you hard code it in, then people can obviously get access. If you're sending this code out to people and these apps out to people, they've got access to your API key there. So use variables. And yeah, like I say, have some fun with it. It really gives you just to plug and play with any AI powers that you need, because there's going to be a lot of new things you're able to develop, where you're able to, all software is going to start getting enhanced AI capabilities. So by setting these up with these $5 each, then you've got access. You can use the power of AI. So there you have it. Now you know the secret. Most AI companies are just really good at connecting to existing AI, and those same tools are now accessible to you. But 2 things to remember. 1, always keep your API key protected, and 2, always set spending limits for billing and usage. So go ahead and enjoy, go and set up your own API keys, have some fun, experiment. Let me know in the comments any good use cases, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.